Welcome.
Hi, I'm Katie Morrell. I'm a creative and writer based in Bend, Oregon.
And I'm Karen Hawkins. I am the founder of Rebellious Magazine for Women and co-publisher and co-editor-in-chief of the Chicago Reader.
You are listening to Of Course I'm Not Okay, the podcast. Join us as we talk about mental health, coping with quarantine, and creativity.
For some of our episodes, we'll talk with writers, creatives, and activists to get their take. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
All right. Hey, Karen, it's so nice to see you this week.
Katie, it's always wonderful to see you. Hello.
Hello. And hello, Cookie Monster and Kermit, who are right next to you on the couch. I love that they have made an appearance on the pod.
I'm so excited. And I've sat here before and I'm stunned that this is the first time that they're showing themselves. But yes, I have two dolls. It's true. On my couch. I'm going for a 1970s sitcom theme in this room.
Yes.
And I feel like they just add to the vibe. They match my couch really well too. So.
They really do. It's a perfect vision. It's a visual that I really appreciate. And I kind of forget about Kermit the Frog and Cookie Monster, honestly.
Oh my God. I had forgotten about them too. And I won't go into the whole long story. The Cookie Monster is to troll my boss, Tracy, who referenced Cookie Monster at work. And I was like, ooh, I have a Cookie Monster doll. I'm going to start putting it in the background of my Zoom calls and see how long it takes her to notice.
Did she notice?
No, I had to hold him up.
Oh.
It's fine. And then, of course, when I found Cookie Monster, I found Kermit. So thank you so very much for noticing them.
I love that so much. I just don't think that people can have, like, adult humans can have enough stuffed animals. Like, I really like as many as possible. I don't even know if it's always stuffed animals, but just like figurines, like little things. It kind of just like brings you back to childhood. For people who don't have children like us, it's like, oh, it's really nice to just have like a reminder, like you don't have to take life so seriously all the time.
Oh my God, totally. And we've talked about the importance of play.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't have any collectibles, but I will admit I have a couple dolls that are still in boxes. Like,
really?
Yeah, no, I have a Queen Amidala Barbie or a Queen Amidala action figure, like original, the OG Queen Amidala. Yeah, still in the box. I think embarrassingly somewhere I have a University of Illinois Barbie.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That somebody gave me when I went to, anyway. Yeah,
that's
I agree with
you. Did you ever have those American Girl dolls? I never did.
Oh no, I'm too old for that. Thank God.
Oh really? Okay. I never had those, and I also never really understood them. Did they have porcelain heads? I think they had porcelain heads. It's like you can't really play with them. They just like sit there. I don't know. Maybe. Oh my God,
that makes them even creepier. Do they have porcelain heads?
I don't know. Someone is yelling into their headset right now, like, "No, Katie, it's fucking stupid. Don't talk about Kristen that way." Like, I know there's a name Kristen.
Addie doesn't have a fucking porcelain head.
She's sitting right next to me, my BFF. Anyway, no offense. If they are your BFFs, really, no shade on that whatsoever. You do you. Yeah. Okay, wait. I do have to go on one small tangent that has nothing to do with dolls, but everything to do with this time frame, which is, do you remember in the 90s when those what were they? I guess prints, like they were art prints on the wall where you looked at them for a long time and then you like went cross-eyed kind of, and then like there would be images that would like come out at you. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so my family had one, and my dad like got one. I don't remember where, but he thought it was the biggest thing ever. We had it like professionally framed, and we all would just like after dinner go sit and stare at it. That was like our activity. I remember this so well, and we were like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, this is so incredible. And I talked to Tyler about this since, and he's like, they're bullshit. They don't actually work. He can't make his eyes do it. He's like, I can't even tell you how many hours I've like stared at these things. But like, do you remember these? Like, this was such a hot thing for like 5 years, 3 years maybe.
Oh my God. So what is hilarious about I mean, I love that was a family activity. That is amazing. Someday we're going to make a web series about both of our families.
Yes.
I feel like the religious Black people version of that, it's like a wood cutting that says Jesus, but only if you look at it from a certain angle.
Oh,
I feel like a lot of us had that in our homes. It's like dark brown wood and lighter wood. And if Jesus spoke to you, you could see the word. I don't know.
But you
Yeah.
didn't always see the Jesus. Like
No.
No, it was only at special times that you saw Jesus.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep.
Oh, the 90s, 80s, all of those time
Seriously.
periods. Yeah. Beanie Babies. Anyway, we could go down a whole rabbit hole here with a lot of things that were just like the biggest things ever. Okay, this is the last one. I know that I said that just a minute ago, but do you remember those shirts that like they were like heat activated? I never actually had that one, but I always saw them.
Genera hypercolors.
Okay, yes, the hypercolor shirts. I never understood. Like people were obsessed with them. My parents never would buy them for me. It's okay. I'm not holding grief over that. But like, did you have one?
I did not, but I remember them very distinctly. And it reminds me of a couple weeks ago when Renee said Z Cavaricis. It sends my
Yes.
brain back to the same place. Like, oh my God, when was the last time I thought about Z Cavaricis? That's how I feel about the Genera hypercolors. So the downside, of course, I feel like I was in like maybe early junior high when those came out.
Yeah.
There are a lot of sweaty kids in junior high. Like, why highlight for the world where you're sweating?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know if that registered for me exactly, but some kids had much more colorful shirts than the other kids, like, which they probably had their own self-conscious feelings about that, which really sucks because it was definitely targeted toward preteens. That's for sure.
Yes. Who else is going to buy a $50 t-shirt that highlights your sweat? I mean, really, like
your armpits are really colorful right now. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of glad that trend played out and that's over. So who knows? Maybe somebody still wears it. I'm sure they do.
My fear is that the Gen Z is going to be like, oh, word, we need to bring that back.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. I have to tell you, Karen, that I'm wearing mom jeans right now. Renee would die. I know. It's the worst. High-waisted. And I'm not like, they also are kind of short, which apparently is like a trend. I do feel a little weird about them being short, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to rock them. I'm not 100% on. Tyler hates them. Like he thinks they're disgusting. He doesn't say that. He's not really mean like that, but he's just like, I asked him his opinion and he kind of like said a few words that weren't like 100% supportive, which is what I expect. And so then I'm like, or I hope for, and then I'm like, fine, forget it. Don't tell me anymore. And so I'm just rocking them. So,
I mean, maybe you should get him some dad jeans. So maybe he just feels left out. Maybe he's like, oh,
he does. Good point.
Yeah. Are they
high-waisted Levi's?
So what's like the what's the word I'm looking for? Are they like acid wash? Are they dark rinse?
Okay, so they're totally acid wash. They're very light and they have some like rips in them that the manufacturer put in them. Which is a major problem for me actually, because I never have rips in my jeans. I totally missed that boat even when I was a kid. And I think my parents wouldn't buy them for me actually. Like they were like, this is dumb. Like you're not gonna, which fair. That's totally fair. But the thing is that the rip in my left leg is so large. It's like fashionable or something. I don't know. That like sometimes when I'm putting on my pants, my fucking foot goes through the rip and then it's like making it bigger. But I think that's like not as fashionable. Anyway, I'm struggling with this whole concept. I might be trying a little too hard.
Some might say not hard enough. I don't know. I again applaud you for wearing jeans in these uncertain times. Yeah.
Thank you. I so appreciate your support. That is its own celebration, wearing jeans.
Non-elastic waistband pants during a pandemic for what?
Right. I know. I'm going to change immediately after recording this podcast into some yoga pants.
Thank you for getting dressed up for the podcast.
Yes. Anytime. I do actually really think that we should have a whole episode about 80s, 90s fashion and 80s, 90s trends. And I just feel like there's a lot of people who listen that would be resonant with what we're talking about. We could really go deep in this also.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the toys, the fashion, and it wasn't just fashion. I feel like when you're a teenager, not having the latest fashion is like the worst thing that can happen to you.
Truly. because you don't feel like you belong. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, this is the worst. That's like the biggest fear that anybody has. Like, it's like, oh, I need to have that or whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. Like my life sucks because I don't have the Guess jeans.
Totally.
If I had the Guess jeans, everything would be better.
Yes. I have 2 small examples that I had to beg my parents really were not into it. They were like, we don't really get it. It's not like they wanted me to wear things that just like looked awful. It was more like I wanted very specific things because everybody at school had them. So these 2 things were a pair of Doc Martens and then a pair of Tevas. I don't remember how to pronounce them. Okay, so my parents finally relented. They got me these 2 things. And Karen, the Doc Martens, they had like some sort of like, I don't know if it was like a manufacturer flaw or something, that they hurt my feet so much. And like, I was so stubborn. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to bleed. Like my heel was in so much pain. And I know people are obsessed with Doc Martens. And like, I just was in so much pain every day, but I was like, at least I'm stylish. And then the same kind of went with the Tevas. Like I like they really, they never actually felt good on my feet, but I was like, price of fashion.
The price of fashion. I mean, I think anybody who's listening to this who has Doc Martens is cringing and has breaking those in PTSD.
Okay,
Like,
thank you.
Oh yeah, no. I got my first pair probably like 5 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted them in high school too, but I wasn't wearing leather at the time. And the vegan ones, I didn't feel justified getting, whatever my reasons were.
Yeah.
I just got them. And I got them in Seattle. Thank you, Sam. I think Sam, my partner, bought them for me in Seattle. And I have a similar story of hobbling through the streets of downtown Seattle by myself. Sam was at work. Okay, wait, there was an important discovery linked to this. So I'm hobbling through the streets. My socks are rolling down. I'm just crying. I'm like not lost, but I know I'm really far from Sam's apartment. I hobble into a drugstore. I get a bunch of Band-Aids and I'm like, I'm not going to take my shoes off in this Dwayne Reed or whatever it was. I ask the cashier where there's a bathroom and they're like, oh, there's one next door at the Nordstrom. And that is how I discovered the magic of the Nordstrom women's restroom.
They are the most beautiful things.
I had no idea.
I mean, it's kind of like walking into like a Ritz-Carlton bathroom. But nobody questions you. Whereas like, not that the Ritz would look down their noses, who knows, maybe they do, but like if you're not a guest there, oh no, anyone can go into the Nordstrom bathroom and it is beautiful. It has a lobby in the bathroom.
In the bathroom. Yes, a full-on seating area in the bathroom. And this is the original Nordstrom in downtown Seattle.
Oh, yes.
So it was even nicer. I walked in there and it was like the Ritz-Carlton. I walked in there and it was just like a portal opened, like music, like singing, like, what is this?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No. I mean, you could have just taken a nap. No one would have bothered you. That's the thing about the customer service at Nordstrom. They won't, if you're just like chilling, you're like, this is my 3 p.m. 45-minute nap. Like, they're going to be like, cool, you do you. Like, they're so nice there. I love Nordstrom.
I love Nordstrom. Sponsor us if you will. And
please.
No, there was a woman sitting in the living room of the bathroom reading a book, sitting in the bathroom reading a book, not on the toilet, chilling on the couch. I was like, I'm never leaving this bathroom.
It's that luxurious. That's so amazing. Oh my gosh. So then did you put Band-Aids?
I just like mummified my feet.
Oh.
Oh God. It takes a really long time to break those in.
I mean, that's the thing. Maybe I didn't break them in. I mean, I wore them for my entire 7th grade year, but like, I'm pretty sure that they still never broke in. I'm like, is it okay to like rip your Achilles tendon while you're wearing these things? Like, I'm not even kidding. They actually really hurt me. Like, I don't remember what I ended up doing with them. Probably donated them to Goodwill or something, but worst. Whereas some people, maybe they just have like tougher feet, because I have a lot of people in my life that are obsessed with Doc Martens, or it used to be, and they now love them, or they don't talk about the wearing in. I mean, now that you've broken them in, are you obsessed with them?
Oh, they're still not broken in.
Oh,
no. I still have to be strategic about the socks I wear, how long I'm going to be wearing them for. Yeah, I feel like maybe this is one of those dirty little secrets. Like it's one of the things that like you and I are willing to talk about that no one else is willing to talk about. Like,
Yes.
no, they fucking hurt. What are you talking about?
They really do. And they're not very padded. Like there's a lot of issues with Doc Martens. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Don't sponsor us, please. Like, we don't really have that many nice things to say.
I mean, I love them. I mean, I still wear them. They're Oxblood. They're so cool.
Oh, okay. That's very cool.
They're a throwback, right? They make me feel like my 90s self, but yeah, no, they hurt really bad.
Yeah, that's fair. There's some good and some bad in there. Yeah. Wow. I mean, Oxblood, Doc Martens, so cool. I mean, that's pretty badass.
They really are.
That can really complete an outfit.
You happen to be wearing actual pants, especially.
Yes, exactly.
Which I don't anymore.
Oh, this is so great. Very strong topic change to what we were
once again. Another like seamless pivot transition on this podcast.
Just such an easy segue. But yes, okay. So I have to tell you that I had so many people reach out after last week's podcast about grief and really, really, really resonated with what Hope said. And I actually listened to the podcast at least 2 more times and I loved it too. I mean, I really enjoyed talking to her and I really feel like we could have talked to her for much longer. I'm just happy that she gave us the time she did.
Absolutely. And I feel like, I think I said this on the episode, like, I'm glad we had a abbreviated time, like a concise time with her, because we could have talked to her for forever.
Totally. I mean, I really hope if people are interested that they like look into her stuff and like the Motherless Daughters community. And Absolutely. There's just so much good stuff. But I also loved what you texted me yesterday about like what we should talk about this week. Go ahead and unveil, because there is nothing more timely, in my opinion.
So the theme this week is easing back into life as we knew it before, or whatever is going to be close to that. And I framed it that way because I have a friend, Britton, if you're listening, hello, whose late father used to say on the weekends that it was okay for them to ease into the day. Like, you're not sleeping in, right? You're easing into the day. And I love that. I still use that. And
that's such a nice framing, actually. That like really gives me a lot of like peace.
Yeah. It's just, you're just going at your own pace.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
I think that's how I'm thinking about this post-vaccine, post-COVID, phase 5, whatever it is, world.
Yes. I love that so much. I really am going to use that phrase. I'm just easing into my day every day. Like, it's just, there's such like a acceptance and like a loving connotation to that. Like, there's no judgment against yourself. It's not like, oh my God, I woke up at 11 a.m. Like, I'm the worst person ever. Or like, whatever it is, like whatever your brand of that is. That's really, really beautiful. Thank you. What was your friend's name? Britton?
Yeah.
Britton's father, her late father. That's really beautiful. So the idea of easing back in, I feel like, Karen, this is such a big deal because, I mean, more and more people are getting the vaccine, which is wonderful. But I mean, as of yesterday, actually, so today's Friday, yesterday, my mom got her second shot and she is the last of my immediate family to get fully vaccinated because my brother and my sister and my dad are all medical. And so, I mean, it's really great, but like Tyler and I are not yet. I mean, I don't even know what phase 600 in Oregon has its own, it's not really going super well, but anyway, who knows? It's just, but like, this is going to be a major issue for people, I think, because there's like, what I worry about, at least in my life, is a boomerang effect of like having like, okay, so let's say that I do get vaccinated, Tyler gets vaccinated, it's 2 weeks after our last shot, whatever it is, like it's actually healthy to go out. Like, what does that mean? Like, am I going to be honoring the 1.5 years before the shot where I intentionally, I mean, I had to shut down and I had to slow down, but there was a lot of goodness from that slowdown? Or am I just going to be like a slingshot out of a cannon? And like, there's this metaphor I've heard so many times where it's people saying it's going to be like the 1920s, like it's
Yes.
going to be like the best thing ever. And it's like that metaphor kind of worked for me back in like the maybe early fall of last year, where it was like, I think I just wanted it to be like the 1920s, like that's great. But now I have some anxiety. I really do. Like I don't know how I'm going to act.
No, totally. The whole roaring 20s thing, I think we needed, I agree. That's how I felt in the fall. Well, I heard it in the fall, and I feel like we all needed that. Like, as the administration was ending, as we had all of these high hopes about 2021.
Yes.
Totally. And I think it will be interesting to watch how, I mean, it's already been interesting. You and I have already experienced watching people kind of rushing in and rushing back to bars, rushing. I mean, when I walk past restaurants and I see people sitting inside
Yeah.
eating, I just, I have to stop myself from like stopping on the sidewalk and staring. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah. And I agree so much with this idea that like, how do we hold on to the things about slowing down that we like, and how do we protect ourselves and set boundaries with people who, the same case over the summer, like this whole thing about like the peer pressure of COVID.
Yes.
How do we deal with that?
I mean, that's such a huge question, and it's such a personal choice. Like that's the thing.
Right.
It's like this is all like what we're dealing with. Like there's nothing more personal than like our actual health and livelihood, you know? It's like, and it's just, oh, it's it's like it like makes my stomach hurt thinking about it, because it's like there are people, I mean, I'm lucky that I have people who are respectful in my life of the fact that I don't want to do certain things. um but sometimes it's still awkward, you know, and like, and not everyone has respectful people in their lives. Some people have people who are shaming them, like what the hell, come on, like this is fine, like whatever, like look at all these other people who are doing stuff. Like it's peer pressure.
Totally. And I mean, I think you mentioned that you've seen people getting lax with their masks already.
Oh my God, this week, Karen, I died. Seriously, Tyler and I went to, okay, so Bend has been pretty good about, at least it's seemingly like with social distancing and restrictions and that kind of thing. But to your point about indoor dining, Oregon opened indoor dining, I want to say maybe like 2 weeks ago or so. And our county in particular has had low enough cases, low enough in quotes, cases that as of I think Monday of this week, they opened it to 50% indoor, like the capacity could be 50%. And you know, I know some people are excited about that. That freaks the hell out of me. I'm exactly with you in terms of like, if I go to get takeout somewhere and I see people inside, I'm like, wait, what's happening inside? And then I'm like, oh my God, they're sitting at restaurants. Like, it's just this weird feeling. So Tyler and I went out for a walk with our dog Lucy on Monday or Tuesday this week. And it was a nice enough day that like, you know, I don't know, it was like, it was sunny and it was a nice day. But most of the time when we go out for walks, and I would, no, all of the time, I would say 90% of people are masked on the walk. And this time it was probably 30%. It was such an enormous decrease. And there were so many people out that like Tyler said something about it. And then I started noticing it and I was like, whoa, like, and these are people who are not just running, who's breathing heavily right next to you, but it's also people who are just, you know, walking with their dogs and like they're not even, you know, they want to stop and say hello to our dog. And like, it's just like, wait, what has happened? Like, I feel like the exponential impact of more and more people getting vaccinated is going to exacerbate the lax feelings about masking, about distancing, about all of that stuff. Like, I think this is just the beginning, honestly.
No, totally. And I think I mentioned to you, I was on a call with a friend who's a CNN healthcare reporter.
Oh, yeah.
And she and her wife are both vaccinated. And she made it almost an offhand comment about like, they don't go to Target. They're both fully vaccinated. They don't go to Target. They don't go to restaurants. They're not doing certain things. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, I definitely have in my head, and maybe I've mentioned this, what would Dr. Fauci do?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Right? Like if he's not eating at restaurants, he's not taking the subway, he's not doing certain things yet, then I'm not going to do them. And that's how I feel about this woman. It's just like, well, if you're not going to do that and you spend all day, every day talking to healthcare professionals, I'm gonna go ahead and not do that either, right? Like
Yeah, totally.
she talks about the strains. I mean, I feel
Oh,
like we really, in America, really, I don't feel like are getting the same information about all of the different strains that other countries are. Like, shout out to you, Aaron, in Estonia. They just locked down again.
no kidding, really?
Yeah, no, Estonia did.
Damn.
Italy just locked down again. Like,
Wait, what? Really? Oh my God, how am I missing this? Holy shit.
see, this is what I mean, right? Like, you see people without their masks on, and meanwhile, people all over the world are shutting down again because of these different strains that the vaccines don't have an impact on. And yeah, it's
Right. And then like the Texas
scary.
governor is like, we're back to 100%.
Ooh,
Yeah.
no mask mandate, right?
No mask mandate. Exactly. Wow, that's really interesting. It's really interesting to me about your friend that works at CNN because I have thought, I mean, the timeline of me getting the vaccine is probably sometime in May or June, but like I've thought like once I get it, like maybe I don't know if I'll want to like be indoors, but maybe I won't be as scared. And so it's interesting to
Right.
hear her, someone who's talking to healthcare professionals, say like she doesn't even go into Target. I mean, I go into Target right now. I mean, I'm fully masked, but I
Oh yeah,
do you go to stores? I don't know. I mean, there's a
I
whole
do.
variance of people comfort level here.
No, totally. I started double masking when Dr.
Yeah.
Fauci started double masking. So,
Yes.
and I feel terrible for the environment, but I do the disposable surgical mask and then a cloth mask over.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
do go to stores. But yeah, I'm not indoors anywhere that requires me to lower my mask, right? Like I'm not eating in restaurants, I'm not drinking in bars.
Same.
I'm fully masked the whole time.
Yeah, that's a really good distinction. That's exactly what I am also. Like I always do the disposable, the cloth, and then um yeah, it's really hard though because it's like it makes me wonder if it would be helpful to have some like if we're all the people who are listening thinking like okay, I'm not yet vaccinated, I want to get vaccinated, maybe it would be helpful to have like a conversation with yourself or me to have a conversation with myself about like what not only where do I feel comfortable or what do I feel comfortable doing, but like just touching base on more of a soul level of like how busy do I want to be or how like there's some parts of my life that I really do want to ramp up and those are around my family. Like I want to see my family. And so like that will be something that I'm intentionally doing, but it's not about seeing them, like every 3 days. Like they would come out for a week and that's how I would see them. It's just like it's the let's go out for drinks, it's the let's do this, it's the this and this and let's go, and that's how I used to live my life. And I have now realized that that's not totally good for me. I mean, I lived kind of frenetic life for a really long time, and so COVID has taught me that, but maybe it would be helpful for me, at least in this moment I'm realizing, to just like think about that or like journal about it or something to just be a little bit more conscious and aware.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. And the idea of setting boundaries with people and just really protecting that time and being protective of your energy and all of the things that we've talked about, we've appreciated during this time. Ugh, just not letting that all go, getting caught up in like wanting to get back to seeing people again and having a social life again and
Yes.
rebuilding our social skills. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Our social skills being atrophied and like what are we going to do? I mean, I have no idea. Like I'm totally like everybody else. I don't know what I'm going to say to people. Like I don't know how many awkward pauses there will be in the first conversations we have together. Like probably a lot.
Right. Well, you know what else has become awkward is so I'm a hugger and I get that that's like for people who aren't huggers, it's a lot to be like, I try to be really respectful of people's energy, like trying to gauge like, are you a hugger? What? And
Yeah.
now I've had a couple different interactions with people who are like, are you doing hugs yet? And it's just like, no, wait,
Oh, that's
no.
interesting.
Like I'm the world's biggest hugger. Like, let's get in there. But March 2021, still not hugging. No.
No, I love that they ask. That's
Oh,
actually a
yes.
really nice thing
That's
for
awesome.
boundaries. Like just to say like, are you doing hugs yet? Like that's such a nice thing to say, but
Oh,
also
yeah.
no, no.
I mean, I hate it.
I know,
I
me too.
hate that no, but no, I don't. And right. And like, what is that as I'm talking about it, that feels relatively arbitrary. Like we're outside.
I mean, kind of. I was actually at a friend's place for a barbecue the other day, and it was the moment where I walked up to her, which there's like the 3-second moment where that's the hug moment, like it's like
Right.
you're totally like and she knows that I'm very conservative when it comes to COVID, and like I don't hug people except for Tyler, like period, done. And so she kind of moved in for the hug, and then I like didn't, I mean, it was just kind of like an awkward 30, it wasn't 30 seconds, it felt like 30 seconds, it was like a millisecond, but I just kind of stood there like kind of like frozen, and then she just moved on, and she realized like, okay, because she doesn't want to make me uncomfortable, and I appreciate that, but there was no conversation about it. But I like the idea, like, are you doing hugs yet, or are you doing hugs at all? Like, I think
Yeah.
that's a really important conversation. It's like the boundary conversation that you mentioned a minute ago is like, it's just so important, and to approach people with a question and being willing to accept the answer no matter what the answer like is super important. I think that's a really good way of approaching boundaries.
Well, and it goes back to that, I mean, however many episodes ago, the whole notion that no is a full sentence,
Yes.
that we never just say no and just like kind of let the no land. We always have to like immediately fill that space with an excuse or a reason or a whatever. And it's like,
Mhm.
just no.
Which is usually very self-deprecating, at least in my case.
Ooh,
Like
yes.
it usually make you put your, or at least when I say no to something, I usually follow it up immediately with putting myself down in like a pretty significant way. And then I feel like shit. And I'm like, wow, that didn't feel good. But the other person feels great because at least you're, what, it's weird.
Weird. And oh my God, it's just going to get weirder.
It
Oh
really
no.
is. I know. I know. And that's the other thing. Like, I was thinking about it the other day where once Tyler and I are vaccinated, I think I'll be okay with people in my house if they're vaccinated, and like we could have like a dinner party. Sounds crazy. I don't remember the last time I had a dinner party, but like something like that. And I'm like, okay, I think I might be okay with that maybe. But then I thought, okay, well, what if we invite people over and we don't know that they've been vaccinated? Like,
Ooh.
and should I just only invite people over that I already know are vaccinated, or should I ask people if they've been vaccinated and then take back the invitation if they haven't been? Also, is it my job to protect them if they're the ones not vaccinated? I mean, this is just, there's a lot of questions here.
It's it's a lot. And it reminds me of like when I've interviewed people about their HIV status and about, I worked in the gay press in the early 2000s, and I feel like HIV was still a big story, and
Yeah.
talking to survivors and this whole issue of, people hooking up, and it's like, oh, well, you didn't ask me about my status, so you must be positive. And it's like, well, you didn't ask me about my status, you must be negative.
Oh.
Like, if you don't have the conversation and you make these assumptions, you're right. Like, what I think we just have to get into. Hi, Simp.
Your cat is so beautiful and joining Kermit and the Cookie
Is
Monster.
trolling me so hard right now. Yeah, I think we just have to start having uncomfortable conversations.
And just have it be a normal thing. Like
Totally.
it's
Yes.
just normal. Like it's not weird. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if your group of friends or the people in your community are not having these conversations, it's still important. Like if you're the person,
Yeah.
like I think with me, am I just being a buzzkill? Like, am I a wet blanket? Blah, blah, blah. All these like stupid negative voices in my head. It's like, no, I'm just trying to save my own life and the lives of the people that I care about.
Exactly. God, Katie, oh, it's such a drag.
Right.
Like trying to be safe.
Jeez. How dare I? I mean, I would actually be really interested if listeners were willing to write in about how they're easing back in, because there's not a real answer to this. Like, it's just a very personal choice.
It's super personal. And I feel like at a certain point, we were all feeling like we were making science-based decisions for ourselves. Like,
Yes.
and I feel like now the vaccine has thrust us back into the wild, wild west of like, is this safe? Is it not safe? And, I heard somebody talking about Dr. Fauci saying, or maybe it was Biden, but by July 4th, we can go back to having gatherings. And it's like, no, he didn't mean a Cubs game. He meant like 3 or 4 people in your house if you've all been vaccinated, right? I feel like we're all
Yes.
interpreting things differently. Yeah.
It's very confusing. I mean, you texted me the link to a Lady Gaga concert at Wrigley Field.
Oh my
Like,
God.
and some people listening to this would be like, I mean, you guys are like crazy. Like, what's the big deal? It's outdoors. Like, give me throw me a bone here. And it's like, that's fine. Like, if that's your opinion, like, personally, I would not want to be within that close of quarters with anyone, even if it was indoors. Like, but it's just, it's very
Yeah.
confusing. And no to I mean, love me some Lady Gaga, but no.
Right. And it's at Wrigley. It's outside. I don't know what the capacity issues are going to be. It's over
Oh
the
yeah.
summer, but yeah, no, still no.
Mm-mm.
Still no.
No. So, well, everybody, we wish you boundaries and to stick to your own comfort level and
Right.
be vindicated in that, and just know that like it's okay. Like whatever your comfort level is, it's okay. And also, I think the biggest learning from this is just asking questions like, are you
Mm.
okay to be hugged right now? Are you okay to like, what is your comfort level about this? Just have the conversation. Even if you think you already know, you might not know. And people have the right to change their mind. Like that's
Ooh.
really important.
No, totally. And as much as we can normalize these conversations and just like have them roll off, maybe practice, role play with your friends, your Kermit the
Yes.
Frog doll, like whatever you need to do to just get it into your body that this is how we're going to behave now.
Because as the weather gets warmer across the country, like this is going to be an issue. Like it's a beautiful thing that we're going to be able to gather if we can, safely, or like it'll be warm enough to stay outside at night in the Midwest, like that kind of stuff. That's beautiful and that's so exciting. But like there are a lot of considerations to be made and like conversations we have to have internally to figure out where our comfort level is.
Exactly. You do you. You don't owe anybody an explanation for how you want to navigate this next phase.
Yes. And no is a complete sentence.
Amen.
Yes. Amen. See you next week.